understand we have Victoria Yeager here at Sun and Fun this year. I'm Ben Coleman, your anchor host here for the Florida Aviation Network, coming to you live and in the clear from the Central Florida Aerospace Academy. And this is Sun and Fun, the 52nd annual. It's red, white, and blue 52. And we always look forward to coming with the Florida Aviation Safety Foundation. We're out spreading the word for safety, and we all cut our teeth on the FAA, some people call them regulations, I call them standards. And you can always exceed, improve, and endorse a standard, but you don't want to go below the standard. And that's why it's so important, and our guest today is going to talk to us a little bit about a gentleman that made a very substantial impact in our industry. And we're going to find out what's going on still with General Yeager. And I'm just going to quit teasing you, and I'm going to introduce you to Victoria Yeager.
Nice to see you. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the set.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. And she likes to be introduced as Chuck's second wife.
Well, no, as his wife, but
the first one was a tryout.
There you go. No, my hat's off to Glennis. I mean, she did 4 sets of diapers in a bathtub in a 2-room house in the middle of nowhere in the desert, not knowing whether her husband was coming home in a casket or walking. My hat's off to Glennis Yeager, his first wife. She died in '90. I met him in 2000. I'm not the other woman.
Victoria, we were talking just a little bit to be better acquainted, and it's there. Even though some of our dynamic icons in the industry aren't here with us, we feel their presence, and once we start just kind of moving away from that, what's the use? I mean, because it's all about safety in life, and let's remember our folks that helped pave the way for what we see today.
Absolutely. I mean, Chuck Yeager broke the sound barrier. Without him, we wouldn't have gotten into space. We wouldn't have the air superiority that we have today. And his last job in the Air Force was Director of Safety. Mm-hmm. And it used to be primary cause, secondary causes. They would fix the primary cause and wait until the secondary cause became a primary cause. When he came along, he made it an all-cause accident. Mm-hmm. And so he saved lives that way in the Air Force, and the civilian world used it. NASA didn't, and that's why they had their accident in, 2012. Yeah. They found out 36 problems. They fixed 34. They didn't fix 35, 36, the tiles. He was livid.
And we've got to concentrate on all the little things that happen down, the indirect underlying factors, the occurrences, the slight mishaps.
Yes.
Yeah. And one of the things, don't get me started on investigations, because just because there's no fatality doesn't mean that we don't need to investigate it to the nth degree.
Right.
Because it could very easily have been a fatality.
Or become the next one, yes. Absolutely.
So, and in the government world, it's we just don't have enough resources. When I was with the NTSB, I was one of 55 investigators nationwide.
Wow.
That's not a lot of folks to cover over 3,000 accidents that we have, but right. There's other ways now with these things that things change, and mm-hmm. we can improve with it.
Absolutely, yes.
I cut you off. You're going to say something.
No. I was just thinking about it. General Yeager was always thinking about your average, the airmen, all the people from the private on up to generals, about their safety. And just at Beale Air Force Base, there were politicians that wanted a picture with him, and he said, no, not till you get that road fixed. If you don't get your egress fixed, Beale Air Force Base is going away. And they got that road fixed. They used to have at least 3 fatalities a year. After they got it fixed, they haven't had any. So he's always looking out for everyone.
And my hat is off to him. It always has been. And there's some people. Could he be a little bit gruff? Could he be a little bit
You mean
direct?
The general? If you approached him the wrong way, forget it. If you were disrespectful, forget it. If you were not doing your job, forget it. He let you know. And he actually, what was great about him and what was frightening about him is he was right on point. He never called names. He never used foul. Well, he might use a little language, colorful language, but he was right on the money and just wanted excellence, because that's what kept all his guys alive. Mm-hmm. He had perfect deployments, the first one across the Atlantic. He had, they always came in first, second, or third, usually first, on the gunnery meets. Excellence was his thing. And the only way you can get excellence is to be perhaps a little gruff. But what was funny is one guy came up to him and he got in his face. He wasn't polite. He was really discourteous, and Chuck let him have it. And he walked away saying, "I got reamed out by Chuck Yeager." Yes! And I thought, good attitude, bud.
Well, and hopefully he took something away from that.
Yes. Oh, I'm sure he did, because he, shaking his head, and
I've been getting on to I shouldn't say that. I have been counseling some of our youth. And by the way, this is an entire volunteer organization that we have here. I didn't get to that point.
It's a great organization.
And we take our young folks, and there's some camera operators. I think even our switcher, I think he's like 14, 15 years old.
Outstanding. That's great.
And I try to explain to them, address folks as ma'am and sir, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So, okay. Excuse me, what did you say? Oh, yes, sir. Okay, and you need to be that common respect, and in our industry, you need to be more than any other industry, well, any industry for that matter, but particularly in the aerospace and the aviation sector, we're professional.
Well, it's flying, you can have a lot of fun, but it's a serious business. I mean, you better be focused on what you're doing. In fact, before Chuck would fly a P-51 that he hadn't flown in a year, he would tell me, and actually most of his flying, don't talk to me for an hour before I'm about to fly. And so actually we were at Dayton, and one guy was trying to catch up to him, and I said, no, I took my job seriously. No, you can't talk to him, you can't. He said, well, ma'am, I'm his escort. I said, oh, okay, you can talk to him, sorry.
Okay, but keep it brief, because he's in his
Exactly.
1 hour, his golden hour here.
Well, your maintenance guy, the maintenance guys really admired him. Why? Because he would just fly a P-51, he'd land, and then he might get into the exact same model, exact same everything, P-51, but he'd still say to the maintenance guy, check me out in this. Because every plane has its poltergeist.
Yeah.
So that's why, and you've seen a lot of them, the pilots will just get in and take off. It's like, yeah, not a good idea.
99.9% of the time it probably works out okay, but we got a plan for that 0.01%.
Right.
And because we don't want to hurt you, number one, or persons.
Right.
You're flying over people, you can hurt them, and you're going to mess up a beautiful machine.
Right.
And we're losing them.
So there's a couple of things that I always try to impart to young folks, everybody actually, is that they always think that Chuck was fearless. No, he was afraid. He just didn't let it get in the way of his flying or whatever he was doing, because he had to focus on getting himself out of the situation if he got into a situation. I mean, he's tumbling on all three axes, and even Scotty Crossfield, that everybody says was a rival, he wasn't. But anyway, even he said that only Chuck Yeager could have brought that plane home. What happened was he got knocked out, and most people would have given up. He woke up, he came to an inverted spin, recognized that, put it into a regular spin, got out of the spin, and landed that airplane. And he was doing 3 snap rolls per second for 53 seconds. So
that's tough.
I can't even imagine that. Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm so proud to hear you come out and say that, it wasn't that he was fearless, he was smart.
Yeah.
And I would like to think that I took a little bit of that way. And Victoria, I don't know if you see that yellow streak down the middle of my back?
Right.
That's kept me alive more times than not.
Oh, yeah. Well, he would always think also, how can I bust my butt? How can I prevent it? There are some things that you just can't prevent, they just happen. But how can I prevent my butt? Bust my butt, how can I prevent it? And just in the X1, with which he broke the sound barrier, a couple flights later, he thought, well, wait a minute. If I can't release that fuel, I'm landing a bomb I'm going to blow up. And I don't have a redundancy. So he put in a manual switch to be able to release the fuel. And just the next flight, he needed it. And the only way he could tell if he was releasing the fuel is if he would go down and then stall at a lesser speed. And that's how he knew that he was...
Weight and balance, his pitch attitude.
Exactly. And so then he got down, and he said he still held his breath when he landed. He's like, oh, okay.
Boy, that was a close one.
Well, he would land at that X1 would land at 250 miles an hour, which, as you know, you can't get into B space, Class B, Class D, at going 250 miles an hour. So. And
I'm sure it was quite pitchy. we talked a little bit about that. Last time I talked with Chuck was 2003.
Okay.
At Kitty Hawk.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the centennial.
Yeah.
And I really I admire. We enjoyed our chat, and about like we're chatting here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he loves talking like that to somebody that gets it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he said when he left, he said, Ben, you get it.
Yeah. Right.
And he actually sent his entourage, or his handler, back over to our set and sought me out and said, General Yeager just wanted to thank you.
Oh, good.
For the talk.
Good, good, good.
And I said, you mean, wow, so that means a lot to me.
Unlike Wolf Blitzer that tried to make him wait for an hour, and then they wanted to wait longer, and Chuck said, yeah, no, and he left. And the guy was horrified, but this is Wolf Blitzer, who cares? This is Chuck Yeager.
He did get a reputation in the industry of being, I'm going to clean it up a little bit. Let's just say jerk. He had been called a jerk by a lot of people. But that's okay. If you think him being demanding and demonstrative and with a lot of expectation and MEI, merit, excellence, and innovation, there you go. And can you imagine, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I did. Victoria, can you imagine what he would be thinking and feeling with what's going on now in the world with?
Oh gosh, no.
I mean, I every now and then I think, what would some of our icons that really had the right stuff, the real right stuff?
I think he'd be proud of the Air Force, except for that KC-135 accident. We were in Afghanistan. I'll speed this one up. 40 hours, hadn't slept for various reasons, and we're in Kuwait, and we're visiting the troops. They say we're going to Kabul. We end up in Kandahar. They're trying to figure out where we're supposed to be. We get in the C-141, and we take off. And he's in the navigator seat, which is antiquated pilot, co-pilot, and we're going along, and he says, brake, and they said, which way, and what? And he said, brake, and he said, which way? And he said, anyway, it's coming right at you. They do a big old wing over. This is a big old cargo plane, and as they're coming out and straight and level, a plane goes where we had just been, the opposite direction. And so he waits till they calm down. 30 minutes later, and he said, don't you guys look out the window? Yeah, we're in a no radar zone. Look out the frickin' window. Yeah.
See and avoid.
Yeah.
See and avoid.
Yeah. And I said, I don't care how little sleep you've had and any other airplane ride we're on, you are sitting in that seat. I don't trust those guys.
The Victoria, I know that, and we have a short period of time here, but we all have the same amount of time. It's what we choose to do with it.
Right.
And I think there's a book out that kind of gives some insights.
Well, so there's two books that I've written. After General Yeager passed away, I started writing. And as he would have said, kept me out of the bars. But anyway, it's 101 Chuck Yeagerisms. And it's a lot of his saying. There's really 131, but 131 doesn't make a good title. Such things as first time I saw a jet, I shot it down. And then the other one is What a Ride, because that's my life with Chuck Yeager, and so it's short stories. I mean, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Alaska, he was a very witty, humorous guy, and he was actually a very kind, at home, very loving, very generous guy. And as I say, if you approached him with respect, he was a wonderful guy to talk to, just as you saw, and hang out with.
And there's another thing that I kind of got from Chuck was that there's confidence and there's cocky.
Exactly. Well, the difference between arrogance and confidence is ability. Confidence, you have the ability. Arrogance, you don't. He taught me how to fly. I think some kind of silly if I outlived him, didn't know how to fly. And we got into some unusual situations where it would have been counterintuitive. And so I was very lucky to have him teaching me.
Victoria, what I'm doing now is showing the audience my fingernails.
Okay.
And also the QR code. So they could be able to go on their camera and snap it when they review this and we see it.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
And this is putting our guys back there in a panic because we normally get set shots on our cameras.
Okay.
So what? He wants us to do what?
So the other thing that I do want to say to all the young people when they're learning to fly is just remember to fly your airplane. Just fly your airplane. All sorts of things could be going wrong. Make sure you're flying your airplane. That's what he said to me, and he was right.
Navigate, aviate, communicate.
Right.
I mean, and we... Okay. Do you want to see my other fingernails? Okay.
They're clean. So he's a pilot.
Well, no, there's a little bit of dirt under there. And actually, see, I got a scar.
Ow, ow.
Real mechanics don't have pretty skin.
Well, that's what Chuck Yeager, why he became a pilot. He saw that he was a maintenance officer, and he saw that all the pilots had clean fingernails, pretty girls on their arms, didn't have to pull kitchen duty. He said, yeah, I want that. So his pilot said, well, you've already applied to pilot training. Why don't I take you up if you've never been in an airplane? So he gets up there and he gets sick all over his airplane. The worst was he had to clean it up himself. But he got sick another couple times, but then mind over matter, and he was a great pilot.
He countered it and he mastered it.
He did, yeah, exactly.
And Victoria, in the 5 minutes that we have remaining on this interview, what are your next steps? I know that you've come out now and you've written some books. Mm-hmm. And where can we follow you?
So chuckyeager.com. Actually, if there's anybody out there, do contact me on chuckyeager.com. I'm looking for a webmaster. The other one's retired, actually. But I'm writing a children's book. Not easy. It's rhyming and rhythmic. It's not easy. We're on the illustrations. It'll come out in October. And then I'm also writing a book about his time in World War II, because he carried a wounded airman over the Pyrenees in 3 foot of snow, about 10 miles. And so he was a hero long before he broke the sound barrier. And I'm also trying to get a documentary done. We've done a lot of footage with some of the Maquis, the French underground that protected him when he was shot down. I'm going over there in the end of May, and I'm going to see some of the guys that were there. They were young kids, but they knew him in '44, and we've seen he met them again and again. So there's the documentary, and hopefully we'll be making a movie about his time in France as well. So a lot of things going on and keeping his legacy out there, but really, and also somewhat passing the mantle to the rest of you to keep that idea of Chuck Yeager and encourage kids to get into aviation, because even if you don't do it as a career, it is such a morale and responsibility and maturing experience to know how to fly.
And even if flying is not your bag, I mean, if you don't really enjoy it,
exactly,
there's so many other things.
Exactly.
And we need mechanics.
All you gamers, they need air traffic control, we need mechanics, we need every part of aviation. It's pretty exciting. It's an exciting career, actually, and you can almost live anywhere and be part of aviation. So that is very exciting.
Eye-hand coordination, tactile ability, and I would like to think that there's many Chuck Yeagers and Charlie Yeagers, or Christy Yeagers out there that
right.
that they haven't come into their own yet.
Right.
And unless they learn about what those who have gone before us, what kind of mentorship do they find?
Exactly.
And you may have to find it in a book, or
right.
And there's so much information now that with the internet, it's almost information overload, but it is the superhighway, and we can use it for bad things or we can use it for good things.
Right, exactly.
It's a resource.
Yes, exactly.
And I remember Chuck and I talking about our resources.
Right.
He was a master at using resources.
Right. Well, he was very much on the cutting edge when he was alive. He was the first person to do flight simulators in the Air Force, at the Aerospace Research Pilot School, the precursor to the test pilot school. Mm-hmm. So he was always on the cutting edges. What can help my guys? And what can we do that's cost effective and efficient?
And and again, we talk about him like he's gone, but he's still kind of with us.
Yeah.
He's in your heart.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
We have so much to look forward to, and I can just imagine the Artemis mission that we just completed. He would have been so proud.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
To see those chutes pop.
Yeah.
Coming down in the Pacific.
Yeah. And what a difference from 1960s and 70s, what equipment they had and what equipment Artemis had. And that's what one of the pilots in Artemis said as well. Oh my gosh, we have it easy compared to those guys.
Yeah, and they're flying around with 186, 286 computers.
Yeah, touch screen.
So some of the old in Gemini.
Oh yeah,
that's
right.
In Apollo.
Yeah.
They had like a 286.
Right.
And I remember the old 88 computers, the slow IBMs. Yeah. Some of our new aviator Cummings, they don't, 286, 386, what do you mean?
Right, I misspoke. I was talking about Artemis. They have the touch screens.
Yeah, the Artemis has the touch screens.
Not the guys in the 60s and 70s.
And the resolution of the cameras these days. We're past the steam gauge area, but Chuck really kind of he cut his teeth on steam gauges.
And he actually liked flying the older planes that were the six-pack, and because you're really flying the plane. And people asked him if he wanted to be an astronaut. And at first he said, I didn't want to wipe the monkey crap off the seat before I sat down. But he also, in the early days, they weren't actually flying those planes. And he actually got up to space. He got up to 118,000 feet. He saw the curvature of the Earth. They decided 50 miles was space only for security. Each country owned 50 miles. So he was really an astronaut. But and that's, he really, as David Scott, an astronaut, said, he had a brilliant flying career. So that.
I know Chuck well enough that he didn't use the word monkey crap. Okay, but we're going to leave it at that.
You're right.
Victoria, thank you so much for your
Thanks
time
for having
here with
me
us
here.
on the
It's really
set.
great to be with you and great to be with all of you.
And let's follow it up.
Okay.
We're going to talk to you again
That'd be great.
and see how your
Appreciate it.
book's doing.
Thank you.
So I'm going to buy a copy right now. Ben Coleman, Florida Aviation Network. We'll see you next interview.